Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 141. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture things that interest us, and sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined, as always, by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. I'm just kind of bummed I didn't get the collared blue polo pullover
Mm,
memo. You know,
mm.
man, if I'd
Yeah, I should have
known,
sent it out.
we could have rocked this.
Well, we can pause.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
run, get it.
Be
Yeah.
right back. Technical difficulties. Yeah, something.
Wardrobe
Andrea,
malfunction.
we wanted to surprise you.
Yep.
Reach under your chair and you can.
Ah! You get a blue colored pullover.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Andrea, polo or not. And welcome back to the show, Pete. How's it going?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, up top, so we're going to, as per usual, talk about drink holidays, go over our weeks a little bit, and then we're going to get into the show we've been covering each week here, and finish that up with Shadow and Bone season 2. We'll
Mhm.
talk about the last 2 episodes and kind of our final thoughts on the season, maybe where we want to see it go and that sort of thing. That will be the structure of the episode. But before we get to any of that, Pete, I want to give you the chance to plug your book and books and all that sort of thing.
Books.
Tell people all about that stuff.
Well, we can do that. We don't even need a reason. John, you know what's flying off the shelves this week on Amazon.com?
Hmm.
It's Where the Weird Kids Go and Other Tales.
Mhm.
A fine collection of short stories everyone can enjoy.
Nice. That was your second?
That was number 2. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
It's got Where the Weird Kids Go. It's got Maiden Made of Thorns. So if you like river zombies running through the woods, The Maiden Made of Thorns is one of my favorite short stories.
That sounds
Nice.
pretty cool.
I think so too.
Yeah, I forget which stories go to which ones now sometimes. I suppose
Break
I
them out.
do a reread. Yeah.
10-year anniversary, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody go check that out. Amazon, pick them up. There's a
Where the
physical
Weird
copy
Kids
of
Go
the
and Other
first one.
Tales. Peter
Perfect.
Gilbertson, this guy.
All right. So now drink holidays.
one last screenshot for everybody if you're
In
watching.
case you missed it.
Yeah. No, please do. Yeah, drink holidays, kind of a lighter week as compared to last week. But it is a week in the sense that from May 15th to May 21st, we are celebrating American Craft Beer Week. Very specific. And then just a couple of handful of days. 2 days ago, it was Mimosa Day, which bummer because last week that's kind of what I had. So I was just ahead of my time, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and then yesterday it was Pinot Grigio Day. So I just decided to keep it simple this week. That's what I'm having a glass of.
Okay. Nice. Awesome. I I was too bad. I was wanted some wine, but I don't have any Pinot Grigio. I don't keep enough things on hand these days for wine.
I
We
I
did get a
actually
bunch.
kept it. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I
Yeah.
kept it on hand because it's my mom's favorite. So
Mm,
like when my parents come
yep.
over and stuff, I just have like a bottle
The
chilling in the
chilled
fridge.
bottles waiting.
I'm
You
that
know.
kind of daughter, man.
All right. Pete, how about you? You got anything fun you're drinking?
From
Oh.
the Iron Maiden
Ooh,
Trooper chalice.
I love it.
We just keep it simple. We just got a little Mount Gay rum and a little cola. So rum and cola.
I love it.
Nice. There's speaking of rum, so Andrea, you're not a rum fan, correct? Right?
Not
Remember?
generally. It's like mostly Captain Morgan specific
Okay.
that I'm not a
You
fan of.
don't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I don't. I feel like that was totally the go-to cheap alcohol in college, and there's just so many memories of other people, thankfully not me, just, having a bad night and,
Yeah.
seeing a repeat performance of that Captain Morgan that I'm just not a fan anymore.
Sure.
burnt out.
Yeah, just the smell, it's very specific, and when it, makes that repeat appearance, it's also very specific and not great, so, yeah.
Mm.
I'm not generally a rum person. I almost considered it, though, for this show. I was gonna make a dark and stormy because I felt like it was very
Oh,
mood appropriate.
Yeah,
yes,
that'd
that
be
is
the
actually
Shadow
that's
and
good.
I
Bone.
was I was, like, this
Mhm.
close, so
Mm,
shoulda done it,
mm. Yeah,
I think a White
that's good.
Russian would be appropriate.
right? It would.
Yeah.
Mhm. That would
So
to
this
me
is
would signal, like, the alliance with the other nation, whatever their name was. They feel very
Fjerda?
Russian or Eastern European to me in there.
Fjerda?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, they do, but I mean, it's clear that, like, Ravka's, like, Russian inspired at least with their A name and B, like, Moitsarovich
Sure, sure.
speak.
They're
Yeah.
cool hats.
Their cool
Yeah.
hat,
All kinds of drink
military
options we
coats.
could do for, a pairing with the show.
Mhm.
Um, Next time you guys are around, I'll have to have you try my James Bond rum. So,
Yeah, I
it's
have
a
wanted to try that.
Okay.
Blackwell rum. The guy had a relationship with Fleming himself, and was I think helped um, location search for Doctor No, and was the
Okay.
one to find
Mm,
the beach spot where Ursula Andress came out of the water and stuff. So there's a long history with the Blackwell rum and Bond, and so this is a
mhm.
specific. You can get a really expensive bottle now. Uh, that's too rich for my blood, but there's the regular Blackwell rum. Yeah, that's pretty affordable and quite delicious. So maybe that will change your mind on the rum front, Andrea.
Yeah, I mean, I have tried some that I've liked. I did like, uh, the one I tried at your house, I mean, a while back now, but Kraken?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
sure. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
always kind of our regular go-to for having rum for
Oh
a mixed
yeah.
drink.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep.
And then there's the Sailor Jerry, also
There
good,
is
but
there is,
it'll
yes.
it'll knock you on the floor if you're not careful.
Very true.
Nice. Well, I have none of those things. No rum, nothing. But I am celebrating the American Craft Beer Week. Local brewery, 3BC. It's called Bobbing Bobbers Brewing. Um, we're happy to get a
Say it
brewery
5
out
times
here.
fast.
Yeah, right. Probably not. But this is called Capsize Kolsch. It's a most of their things are sort of fishing or lake themed in nature per the name of the brewery itself. And so, yeah, American Craft Beer Week. There it is.
Nice.
Cheers.
Represent.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. Drinks out of the way. Palates wetted. Pete, what have you been watching or consuming or playing or whatever last week or even since we've seen you, something that's really stood out?
Have you ever watched the show Taskmaster?
No.
Have we
Mm-mm.
discussed this? So it's
Is it a
on.
90s show?
No, it's
Okay.
this century. I think it started in 2011, maybe a little bit sooner. It's BBC. It's on YouTube, and the premise is five comedians get on a stage, and there is a taskmaster who assigns them a task, and they all solve the tasks in their own unique way, and it is hysterical how when they try to do it straight, sometimes they succeed, sometimes they spectacularly fail. And the
Mhm.
host of the show is Greg Davies, and one of my best friends, Doug, is in Chicago. He was looking for a new show, and I showed it to him, and he got way into the show and started tracking Greg around, uh, who was on this episode of Would I Lie to You? And so the premise of Would I Lie to You is I'm going to tell a story, and then the other contestants try to figure out, is this a true story or did you make it up?
Sure.
And Greg said, when I was a kid, my best chum and I, we used to draw these terrifying images on a piece of paper and hide them in people's pockets because we were wishing death on them because they had wronged us for some reason. And the other contestants are like, you didn't. He goes, we did. He goes, draw us an image right now. He goes, I certainly will. And so they hand him a piece of paper and a pen, and he draws the hoot owl of death, which looks like that. I don't know if you can see it so well.
No.
Oh, there we
there
go.
it is.
There you go.
Yep.
And that's Greg
Also, a
Davies.
great expression.
And
Yes.
that is the hoot owl. And that's what you're going to look like when you reach into your pocket and you pull out a piece of paper and like, what the hell is this? And then you go, oh, the hoot owl of death is upon you. Sometimes it looks like this when you hide a piece of paper in your friend Doug's pocket when he comes to visit you. And
Nice.
sometimes it looks like this when Doug buys you a t-shirt and then you just hide it under the blue. But yeah, so you might in the show see the hoot owl of death coming at you.
That's hilarious.
So that's what I've been
For-
doing.
Well,
For
so
audio
I'm
listeners
curious.
only.
Oh yeah.
Just quickly, it's a very bug-eyed dude holding up a picture.
If you're a
of what
listener
looks
only
like-
this week, you should be a viewer because these expressions are not to be missed.
When I pulled it out of the Amazon bag and this was the face that I saw, I'm like, God dang it,
Funny.
he got me. And fortunately, Doug and I are still here. We have not been afflicted by the as of
Well,
yet.
it's secondhand hoot owl, so effects might
It's
be
like a
muted.
kid-
You know what? Tread lightly.
Tread lightly. Still,
The bill comes due always.
So
to
I
me,
have
it
a- so-
reminds me of like a Batman mask that some kid's trying
Oh,
to draw.
yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Like I got this.
Mhm.
It's a remedial Batman mask that's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
That's got to be like the most ass backwards way to describe the hoot owl of death. A remedial Batman mask that might kill you.
And
Um,
to spoil it, it was a true story. He really did do that to his teacher who gave him a bad grade or something.
that's
And so
funny.
in class, the teacher's in the middle of a lecture and all of a sudden he's like, what is this?
That's great.
So on this show, like what kind of tasks do they get? Like what's an example of a task?
Okay. One of them is you have to film something that looks extraordinary when you play it backwards.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
So
Mm.
one of the first ones is you see this guy, he's on a dolly and he's got a helmet on and he's laying down and he's going down the driveway and he's pulling, he's like, "Argh!" And there's a rope behind him and it's attached to a truck. So it looks like he's hauling the semi when really the
No,
semi's hauling
okay.
him very slowly, right? There was another one where a guy tried to set a world record for putting a jigsaw puzzle together when he was really taking it apart and doing some other things. And so it looked really, really cool backwards. The funniest one was Tree Wizard, and we still talk about Tree Wizard. Tree Wizard makes balloons appear out of nowhere on a string. So he's walking along, and the Tree Wizard, he does this, and all of a sudden a balloon appears because he'd actually clapped his hands and popped the balloons.
Oh, that's
Mm.
cool.
But what makes it is in post-production, he just started singing a song, go, Tree Wizard, yeah, it's a Tree Wizard. Oh my God, there's another balloon. How does he do it? I don't know. What's he doing? Oh, he's testing the balloon. Oh, and a balloon appears. And now Tree Wizard's going to say goodbye. And he jumps up in a tree. And yeah, so Taskmaster on YouTube. Check it out.
That sounds fun. I will.
It does sound
Yeah.
fun, yeah.
It is, yes.
Cool.
There's like 15 seasons, and the banter between the host and his assistant and the 5 comedians is hot comedy. I'm really glad that sometimes I watch the show and no one's in the house because I'm so loud laughing at it. I'll have it on my phone and I'm working out and oh my God, I'm so glad we didn't watch this while everybody else was asleep because the house would have been pissed. I would have been laughing so hard.
Cool. That's a good
Sounds
recommendation.
good.
I will
Yeah.
give that one a shot. That sounds like a fun thing to get take a look at, and on YouTube. Yeah. Cool. Andrea, how about you? How's your week been? Do you have anything fun like Taskmaster or?
I don't. I mean, I definitely started something lighthearted and lighter in nature, which is the new season of Queer Eye on Netflix. That's more like feel good rather than like bust a
Sure.
gut comedy. Though the first episode of the season was the Fab Five making over the guys of a frat house. And
Mm,
that actually did provide some great moments of comedy because it was like a
sure.
typical, like very disgusting, like frat house, and they're like running around. I believe the word "shat" was used at least 10 times in this
Hmm.
episode to describe various conditions of various bathrooms. So it was pretty funny. So I would give that a watch. That was pretty good.
Okay.
Other than that, I've been watching Shadow and Bone, of course. Um, Catching up on some seasons of Demon Slayer. And then I finished the final season of the hilarious show Workin' Moms. Title kind of speaks for itself, but it is definitely worth a watch. It's really great. And then I
Nice.
also finished The Invitation, which is a movie on Netflix I'd seen a while back and was kind of like interested in and sort of randomly popped up on my recommended. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I was going to watch that." Watched it. It is unfortunately very middling, I think.
Hmm.
There's some good ideas there, and it's a good thought of a remake of an old story, but as far as like believability and execution and like getting from point A to B to D to Z, not a strong effort. It's a very like
Okay.
C grade horror movie. So
Is
very
it
skippable.
is there anyone big in it? Is it like big names or?
Natalie Emmanuel is the only one you'd know. And she's Missandei from Game of Thrones.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Mhm.
So, I mean,
Okay.
there's some other like random actors that you'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
that
maybe in
guy.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like
Mhm.
actors that have, consistently played side characters in other movies that you're sort of like, yeah. But
Mhm.
no, nobody noteworthy.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. Um, how far are you in Demon Slayer?
Season 2. I'm at
Okay.
the tail end of
Somewhere
season
in the middle
2.
there. Okay. All right.
Is that Mugen Train?
Mugen Train. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Rapidly
All right.
catching up because I've had some, like I said, other stuff that I've been wrapping up. So
Yeah.
catching up on Demon Slayer.
Yep. All right. Cool. Yeah, I've been watching Demon Slayer as well, week by week. Make sure to check out our show Monday evenings about that if you're following along with the latest Demon Slayer episodes. Um, and then really otherwise my time has mostly been I did start Mission Impossible 4. I'm doing my slow
Yeah.
creep yet through Mission Impossible movies. And again, I've never watched movies in this fashion where I like to watch 15 minutes of it and then stop. And then I watch 30 minutes of it. And I'm just never watching movies in segments like this, but that's how it's going. So I've watched probably 30, 40 minutes of Mission Impossible 4 because the new trailer came out for the next one, and it just reminded me
Yeah.
again to stick on that path. And then other than that, I've been playing the new Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom. It's I don't have nearly as many hours in it as I'd like, but it's living up to my expectations thus far. It's I never thought I'd play a Zelda game that inspires so much creativity. It really is cool how um like the building mechanics and stuff and the
hmm
tools they give you to like create and be creative in the way that you either tackle opponents or solve puzzles. And I'm a fan of the music. I'm a fan of the looks of it. I'm a fan of the the ambiance and the feel of existing in that world. So yeah, high marks thus far, even though I'm not in it too great many hours yet. But Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice.
So yeah. All right. That's our weeks. We're gonna jump right into Shadow and Bone, season 2. We've been covering each previous episode so far in like 3x3s, but now there's just 2 left. So we're gonna be talking about episodes 7 and 8. Pete, we had you on as well, I think, to talk about the finale of season 1. I think we talked about that.
That tracks.
So yeah, back to talk about this now. If my memory serves, you have not read the books upon which these are based, right?
I still haven't, and I feel like I do love the show. I feel like I'm missing out by not reading the books because
I would
just
say so.
from some of the scuttlebutt I've heard, there are entire plot lines that have been omitted or combined to very mixed reviews. So
Sure. Yeah, I mean, this season has gone really quickly. Wouldn't you agree? Like the pace was
oh my goodness,
blistering.
right?
Yeah.
Like there was no tomorrow. I'm like, oh, this guy, he's going to be a pain in the ass at the end of the season. The true heir, was it Vasily?
Vasily?
Vasily, yeah. And then nope, he's dead. What? Like clearly he was going to make his move, and there's going to be some weird, sexual assault. And how far were they going to take that? Like, no, we'll just kill him now. Yeah.
Who? Which guy?
The guy who got ripped in half by Kiergan's shadow monsters at the party. The total pompous ass
That's
firstborn entitled.
Nikolai's brother.
We talked about the pleasure of that last week. That's right. Yes.
Yes, I did enjoy the ripping. He was a very one-note character that the actor played very well, but I was like, peace.
He was an adult Joffrey. We just didn't have the pleasure of hating him for
very
2
long.
seasons. Right.
Yeah.
So let's see. Does Pete, thus far in the series, like what's how do you feel this is when this started based off of season 1? I think you didn't love the ending of season 1, right? And so did this one pick up well for you and resume? Because I remember not liking the battle and stuff in the fold and being like, oh, you can't go in the fold, and now all of a sudden now we're in the fold and we can get out and
it's all cool now, guys. Yeah, I probably made a connection to was it Troopers? Was it Alien Trooper? Oh, what was that terrible movie that everybody likes except me?
Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers, yeah. The beginning of Starship Troopers, like, oh, the bugs, they're terrible. Nothing can defeat them at all. And at the end of the movie, they're surrounded by the bugs. And like, fortunately, we have these guns that are the same guns we had at the beginning of the show, but now we're just killing all these bugs that we're surrounded by. I'm like, God, don't like it. The inconsistency is insulting. So, yeah, there might have been some of that at the end of season 1. But season 2, it really took me a minute because there's so many different storylines going on to get reacclimated. I really could have benefited from rewatching season 1 before jumping into it's a gorgeous show. I'm very impressed by the settings, the costumes, the mythology of the story itself is all captivating. So I'm enjoying it.
So now with episodes 7 and 8, coming to the end here, we really, with 7, we're setting the stage for our big conflict, our final battle and stuff. Andrea, help remind me what happened in 7 here. We got
So Darkling is super mad at everybody, and it's big revenge plot and trap and kill everybody time. You know, he's definitely like setting the stage to spring a trap on Alina and Nikolai. Um, and he executes it flawlessly with the help of his sidekick, who you call Bangs and I call Superfan. Um, she she is just, oh, she's the worst. Not a strong actor either, in my opinion, which doesn't help her cause. But yeah, they do spring a good trap for Nikolai, who's gonna go like confront Kirigan at the orphanage where Alina and Mal grew up, and does he sets an ambush for them, and then he's gonna go expand the fold and trap Alina and force her into making some hard decisions. Um, First part of this, really annoyed at Nikolai. He just like flies around in his, airship, not even in any sort of cover. He's just like to do like going to see Kirigan. And so when the ambush comes, I was like, well, yeah, like, who's surprised,
Mhm.
who's shocked? Like
The
nobody.
only saving grace about that is that the what is this? Hold on. Switch. Computer issue. It said Kirigan's minions went plus ultra, right? They didn't have the ability to
Yes.
shoot ships out of the sky
Yeah.
until they got grandma's bones put on their
Which
wrists or whatever.
that is the shortcut plot line that I continue to be mad at. Because this whole thing about amplifiers is like you have to be the one to kill them to like absorb the amplification. They all didn't kill Bagra. I know,
Nope.
like, so I know she's like a born amplifier, but like so is Mal. And the idea is that you have to kill them to get it. So yeah, so when everybody's like, "Oh my god, how are they so powerful?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Cheating."
It's kind of like going up the vampire tree. I'm making excuses for them. Like you're absolutely right, but if you want to justify it,
Yeah.
Bagra was all powerful. Kirigan's the descendant, and as you go down the tree of the Grisha, then they get exponentially less powerful. Is one way to look at it. So certainly, if you killed a ordinary Grisha that was born, in your lifetime, it wouldn't have the same ramifications. It would have none. But having the ultra mega Lilith of all
Right. And
Grisha,
I get that like potential. It's just it bothers me because they make such a big deal about like who's gonna kill who and who's gonna like get there first to like get the power, and then
Yeah.
suddenly like
right?
everybody's like, "Cool, I got it." Like we're super amped.
Yeah, it's sort of like the wand ownership in Potter. Like you got to
Yeah.
defeat the wand wielder to be able to then wield the wand yourself.
Right, which makes sense to me. Like there's like a set rule and nobody ever really breaks it. Even when they seem to, there's like, "Oh, well this one like changed hands and this is what this happened." You're like, "Right, right." So, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, so the ambush is successful. Everybody gets basically pinned down at this fort where everybody's under attack all the time, whether it's from Grisha, shadow monsters, Kirigan himself. It's
But
just whole big
what a
like scrappy melee.
in a really cool setting. I
Yes.
like that.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know
Like
where
I
they
what the
filmed it.
setting, you mean the
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 castle
fort.
and
fort,
stuff? The
Yeah,
the
fort?
yeah,
fort
yeah.
thing, yeah. Mhm.
The horseshoe made of stone and turf,
Mhm.
and then it had some other background behind it that was not quite seamless, but yeah, good enough, man. I will suspend my disbelief and go, that is a cool looking setting. Like you
Yes.
get props for
Yeah.
that cinematography.
Mhm. Um yeah, so I mean, did you guys think, so how did coming off of last week, we were okay, Kiergan knows who the Firebird is. We were discussing like is Is Alina going to actually go through with it and kill him? Is there some sort of like workaround? Hey, we can have
They
sex and now we have
tried.
power. Yeah, the
They tried
different.
so hard. They came up with this huge convoluted, like, okay, if you take a finger bone and I stop his heart for a minute, and then you do the thing, and then like you turn around 3 times and clap your hands. No,
I bought
it
it.
was never gonna work.
I bought it.
I thought they did good, like selling the idea of hope there, and
Yeah, I
then
mean, I
take
know
that
they
away.
sold it, but I just like watched it going like, y'all, it's just not gonna happen. It's gonna come down to like, is she gonna, knife him or what?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought, oh, they're gonna they found a loophole,
Yep. Call me a
found a way
sucker.
around
I
it.
fell for it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I sort of bought a little bit when they were like, "We'll take a finger bone," and like David was like screwing up the courage to like really cut one
Yeah.
off. I was like, okay, well, at least they have to like, cut off a finger. It's not just
Hmm.
like John. You were like, oh, they're just gonna have sex and
Hmm.
they're not, they're just gonna
Yeah.
tear down the fold with the energy.
Yeah.
So I was sort of a little like, okay, at least there's like some sacrifice here. Not that I
Yeah.
wanted Mal to be like slowly chopped into little bits and pieces, but it was
Right.
semi believable
While having
Yeah.
sex?
while having
Yeah.
sex.
Maybe. Hmm.
David's just waiting for that moment. I'm gonna do it.
Um. So let's see. The other thing we're dealing with, obviously, is the crows, and the
Mhm.
crows have managed to successfully obtain the sword. They can like cut darkness, so they show up to save the day. Pete, what is your thoughts on? I know we're kind of like, it's tough for me because I want to know what you've been thinking so far. So it's like a combination going through these episodes, but like, what have been your thoughts up to this point? And like with the crows, how have you felt about their storyline
Mhm.
here? Kind of
They
individually or
steal the
as a group?
show. Absolutely, they
Mhm.
Oh,
steal the show. The best part of the show.
wow.
It's the only believable sexual tension that I'm in the show, in my opinion, where you have that chemistry. I like just Inej and Kaz just pull it off. I like them. Uh, and if you uh, told me that beginning of the show that by the end Inej was going to be running around in the fold with a lightsaber, I'm like, yep, I'm ready for it. Let's see some more of that. So yeah, uh, I'm very. I know I haven't read the books, and I know there's like a whole lot of blasphemy going
Mhm.
on about the bastardization of the storylines. But for me, I know it's
Well,
hypocritical because when you mess with like Iron Man and Iron Man 3, I am still on my soapbox saying that was a terrible, terrible movie. And I'm going to tell you
Right.
7 reasons why, but I don't have the backstory for this. And I really like,
yeah.
seemed a little bit forced, a little bit rushed, but the payoff was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I know you're saying like things seem rushed or like there's a little bit of like, you know, storylines getting cut or twisted around. And it's because it is two sets of books that are basically like coming
Yeah.
together and like having to kind of work into each other's storylines. But I do think the show overall is better for it. There's more depth to the show by focusing on these like two sets of characters rather than just following Mal
Yeah.
and Alina and like Nikolai even as fun as he is. I think there's a lot more balance to the show that the crows are in it. And sometimes it does get a little like convenient to have them like go be the ones who do all the like secret missions
Yeah.
and
I
go do all the
know.
things.
It's like we finally have the barrel. Oh, now we got a mission to go find a sword.
Right, right.
Like
So, I
we don't
mean,
we don't do that anymore.
yeah. It is weird. They do kind of try to like justify things that like I think sometimes at the expense of Kaz's character, like, when he's talking to Inej in one of these final episodes and he's like, I just want to be buried under like a pile of gold. And it's like, so that's basically why he does all these things. But it kind of I think it takes away from his character sometimes that he has such a singular focus on that. Like he could be a little bit more deep. Um, but then also like they do come back around to like, at the final episode, Kaz does own like a nightclub. He gets the Crow Club essentially
Mhm.
rebuilt. Like so he comes back to that like I'm a boss now kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Pete, I struggle with that all the time, and that's why like when we started covering this, I said up front, like, look, I haven't read the books. There's nothing I do about it. I don't know. I have no other context. All I can
Mhm.
do is judge what's in front of me here. And like I apologize to all those people that like are fans of the one. And if they're wrecking it here, I don't know. And I it's tough because it's hard to go through everything and be like, okay, well, before I watch it, what do people that are really familiar with this think? And for me
Mhm.
to be mad on their behalf and then
Right.
not watch it, like, so in the end, I empathize with those that feel there's been a heavy bastardization of the story because I'm certainly familiar with that in a plethora of properties,
Mhm.
and doesn't make me happy. But all I can do is come at you with the knowledge that I have. So, um, yeah, I'm be interested in what like how it varies, how it deviates, and I wonder, like, yeah, is Kaz in the books so singular? Like for me, I think in season one I really liked the crows. In season two, I've been expressing how Kaz is. I've just had enough of him. Like I had enough of
Blasphemy.
his sort of like his angst. Have enough of his immaturity. Like you wanna be this boss, you wanna run the club, you want to be, and you can't tell a woman how you feel? Like, "Hey, I want you here." It's always gotta be a veiled sort of thing to try to keep her here, and then he'll get butthurt if she decides to go. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like, this show a number of times reminds me of an anime made a live action, where the storylines or moments are too like in an anime for sure, the couple like will freak out when they touch hands, and you
Mhm.
can't have them ever get together. Like there's always this thing held over them. And it's I don't know, it's too I don't know. I was just done. There was no progress being moved forward, and Kaz needed to grow. Like as fast as we were moving through things, is Kaz needed to grow as a character. And I don't know. I got tired of his personal vendetta. Get over it. So
Pecker Rollins stole everything from me and killed my brother, and I, like young Bruce Wayne, vowed revenge and made it my life's goal to take down Pecker Rollins. And also, I developed a neuroses with the firepox, uh, so that I can't touch anyone.
so
And that's my armor. No one touches me. I'm a walking razor blade, man. I will, don't touch me. I won't touch you. Germaphobe, and don't have any weakness, right? Women's is weakness, right? Friends are weakness. So I get it. Didn't bother me.
sure. Yeah, that's a good
I
point, having weakness that way.
yeah,
And
I
his
liked
weakness is then that he can't, be vulnerable. As
mhm.
ironic as that is.
I liked the Pekka Rollins like, taking back the barrel storyline. I thought like in the end the way that they got there was dramatic and fun and like the whole setup that everything like played out was great like drama for taking the guy down using his kid. It was cold, ice
Yeah.
cold, but it worked really well. Why I like the Crows actually this season, Jesper
I
Yep.
just
agree.
shines.
Hmm.
He's
Yeah,
so much fun. I mean, he has his own little like blip of, self-doubt that I was like, get over. But then he did. So I was like, great, good job. Like you did it. You got through to the other side. You're still having fun. Like you're gonna grow and mature in your power and as a person. Love it. And then I said this last episode, I like Nina a lot. And I like her self-assurance and her sort of like comedic relief to break up Kaz's stoicism and like, I mean, he definitely plays the straight man very well, but I think he like needs her as a foil to like call him waffles and give him a little poke and a prod every now and then to go do something.
Hi-oh.
I actually thought she was
Mhm.
wasted in this season a bit,
Underdeveloped. Yeah.
Underdeveloped, I
Yeah.
agree. I like her and I think she has potential.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I think she just needs to break away from this whole like Matthias in prison. I mean, the whole prison thing can just go, in my opinion, like by peace.
That was the most disappointing thing towards the end here. What do you think of the prison stuff? Matthias, what do you think, Pete?
So it reminds me of the last season of Game of Thrones where Khaleesi's like, I'm trying to get across the narrow sea for what, 4 or 5 seasons, and then all of a sudden I'm just whips on back and forth like it's nothing. Like this
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
like an island
Just going in and
prison,
out of Hellgate.
and there's just slide right in, slide right out. And I've got this pardon, but I'm going to fight through the crowd and wave the pardon around. And
Yeah.
like I get it.
Not use my heart render powers to, get
Yeah.
people's attention.
It just
Yeah.
Yeah.
it it was good. I mean, it was effective, but it was very blunt. It wasn't elegant. So,
Yeah, I think
and
it was sloppily put together for sure. Like
And
the
then there were
storyline, they
wolves.
didn't have time for it.
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
so that's what he's bringing to the party. He's a wolf tamer. I love it.
So
And then
random.
well no, because of his country, right, where he's from.
Right.
Like I feel like it's his spirit animal, and
It was like
Pekka
weirdly executed.
because they were
Do you know what I
CGI
mean?
wolves.
Yeah.
I
Like
thought
they
it
were
was
there.
good
He was
because
like communing with them. And then there was that really weird like the prison guards were like huddled in a corner going after the wolves. They were like
oh
in a
yeah,
semicircle. I was like, "What are y'all doing?" They just like stood there, but they were like clearly like fake fighting the wolves.
yeah.
It was bad.
Mm, mm, mm.
I thought it was a good touch because you know Matthias thought, hey, I'm just going to unleash my rage, and Pekka needs that, and it's just a simple deal. And Pekka screwed him over. He's like, "You're not going to fight a guy. You're going to fight, something you love."
Yeah.
I am. It just reinforces that Pekka is a prick, and yeah, he has no friends. He's always scheming. He's always trying to piss people off, show
The the
dominance.
the worst thing in this whole deal is that I don't buy this setup. Pecker Rollins, why is he in charge of this prison all of a sudden? This
Yeah,
to me is absolutely ridiculous. We talked about this before. It's like he comes into this prison after losing everything. He is nothing anymore. He's probably responsible for putting some people in there. People know him. He's the top guy. They had to serve him or whatever. And now he's in there, one of them. And all he does is beat up a scrawny little punk and says, "You're all mine now." And everybody folds. And not even just like creating a gang of like maybe loyalists in the prison to compete with it. Apparently just runs the joint. He's the new warden, I guess. He's going to put the
Right.
no,
fights
he's
on.
he's kingpin. He's the kingpin in there.
But why? Why?
Yeah.
He's a little shrimp that has nothing to offer.
Sure.
He has
We
nothing to his name anymore.
yeah.
It's not convincing that he would be followed in this way. Even if it would make way more sense for him to be really charismatic and to slowly, over the course of a season, work his way from destitute, nothing, being beat up every day, to getting in the ear of fellow inmates and like creating allies, something
Right.
slow and building himself up from the bottom.
Right.
This is
Well,
just like
and
handed to him.
yeah, and like there also I feel like needs to be some sort of reason that like the prison guards are like, cool, following your orders now.
Yeah, right.
Well,
That's
John,
weird.
I
He's
would
like
I would
de
I
facto
would
warden.
challenge that he lost everything. So he was arrested, okay,
Mhm.
and his businesses were
Blown up or shut down.
shut down because of the fire pox. Okay, but if you're a criminal kingpin, you have money stashed somewhere, bank account somewhere. He still has power and influence and reputation. and I could see your argument. Like, you don't buy it. You want to see it, not
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you want to
they got to
see it
show us
happen.
that.
Don't tell me. Like, so he
Yeah.
gets in a fight with a guy who is mediocre. He's not Matthias Big, but I can absolutely uh, see that he, still has that money and influence to corrupt the guards. That's an old trope. That's a cliche. But yeah, that could have used a little bit more development, but it didn't surprise me. He's a criminal mastermind on the outside. Sure, he's gonna be one on the inside.
Yeah, I think for me, I just needed to see something, like some way in which like he beats up a guy or wins somebody to his side that isn't like the tiny little guy that he just like randomly beats up the first 5 minutes he's in there. And then I needed to see like a bribing of a guard or like a
Sure.
handshake deal with the warden,
Yeah.
or just a little something to, other than that, just to be like, all right, Pekka Rollins has still got it. There's a
So
reason people are like, this is your prison now.
John's reaction reminds me of my reaction to Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs, where off screen you're only told about this,
Mm.
that Hannibal Lecter talked to the guy in the cell next to him and convinced him to swallow his throat or swallow his tongue. Like, what bullshit? I don't care what he says. I'm not going to
Yeah.
choke on my own tongue. Like, what? Like, and then I'm fascinated. What could he have possibly said to convince this guy
Right.
that you need to choke on yourself because you tossed your semen upon this woman, and that is not ladylike. So yes, I hear your argument. It just didn't resonate with me
Didn't
as
bother you.
much. But yeah, I wouldn't have turned it away. I'm like, yeah, show me a little bit more. Like, you know who I am, guards. You know what I can do for you.
Right.
As long as I'm here, this is going to be a wonderful arrangement. So
Okay. Away from the prison stuff a little bit, to Matthias and everything, kind of back to the other battle. We got to talk about the Dark One more. Kerrigan, so he's outsmarted everybody. He's, as he should. He's lived a lot longer.
he used to be
Gets the
Prince
jump on
Caspian.
everyone. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, you know, do we feel how do we feel about his motivation? Because as I was watching the last episode, I was thinking to myself, like, I feel like I've lost the track of the
Thread here.
geopolitical front in this world. Like, what is Kerrigan's purpose? Why, and where are we situationally
Yeah.
in the because the story became so simplistic in a sense that, like, okay, Kerrigan bad want to run everything, and these other guys good wants to stop the bad one from taking over the country, take down
Sure.
the fold. That's fine, but like, I remember in season 1, it seemed a little more complicated, like what
Mhm.
Kerrigan was trying to do and the discord that was happening in the country and the fighting between the Grisha and others, and like, just, it felt like a complicated situation that there'd be,
Oh, I had one.
something more going on. And I feel like I just lost that, and it became like, here's the love story, and that's join me or whatever. Do you guys feel similar, or like, was the world setting make sense, and Kerrigan's motivations are always clear? And
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some validity to losing the thread for Kerrigan, especially in like the final episode. I felt like this season he still was very like, making the argument of like the Grisha are so persecuted, they've barely accepted us, like they're gonna turn on us again. So I just want to make like other Grisha safe. Like I've lived hundreds of years, I've seen it happen. Like I need to lead the country so I can protect the Grisha. And then there was like a little bit of like revenge element mixed in there. Like, I had this whole plan. Like Alina and I were together. She betrayed me in my eyes, like regardless of whether his ideas were good or bad. Like he felt hurt by her betrayal. So there was like a revenge element there. Totally got that. Like, was tracking those kind of two parallel things. And then in this last episode, where he was like testing Alina to, I think see what choices she would make to see if she could, turn to the dark side, kind of maybe get her to join him once more. I still was with him up to there. It's really his last speech that lost me, where he was
Hmm.
like, "Let me be the monster, let me carry the hatred." And I was like, "But what would you do? Like,
Yeah, I
what
didn't
would
understand that.
what would be the point of her letting you live like in her eyes?" I get what he was trying to do, but I don't know, he was making arguments that were convincing to her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no, like, benefit to her.
So he is what, hundreds of years old,
Yeah.
thousands of years old, and he just reminds me of an old parent. It's just like, these fucking kids keep making the same mistake. I've been through it 1,000 times. Like, don't, like,
Yep.
I know what you want to do. I used to be that person. You're not all gonna get along. Like, and as soon as you take me down, guess what? You're the new bad guy. Okay.
Mhm.
So I don't want that for you. Like, he was even trying to protect her life when the
Yeah.
shadow monsters, the
Yeah.
Nichivoya, were coming after, because he didn't have control of that. Like, that was his last
That
desperation
that
attempt.
actually, sorry, just to butt in, that was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
just, like, watching him be like, "Oh, shit, like, shadow monster coming out of me," like, that was cool on a storyline level and an effects level.
Right. So it I just empathized with him. Like, I wish there was a hive mind for all Grisha. Like, here's our story. Here's what I've lived through. Here's what I've experienced and witnessed firsthand
Right.
numerous times.
Mhm.
And if we don't remember our past, we are doomed to repeat it. And you are fucking it up, Alita. I put the fold up to protect us. It separated us for sure. Uh, and I'm not, an entirely good guy, but he's kind of like Magneto. He's like, mutants have always been persecuted.
Mhm.
We either take it or we fight back, and he's going to
Mhm.
fight back. He's going to
Yep.
go on the
And see,
offensive.
that's what I wanted to be reminded of more throughout
Yeah.
the season. It became too much like join me, whatever, with Alina, and then Alina trying to seduce him unrealistically and all this, and like just lost that. Like, it needed to be
Mhm.
emphasized more, and what's really trying to happen here. And again, that would help if we saw maybe maybe horrible things that the government was doing to people, that there was a
Mhm.
Yeah,
persecution there. And so we saw
that was
more
in
of the
season
military.
one. Yeah, we saw it in
Yes.
Yeah.
season one. We saw little bits of it. People in
Well,
cages for sure.
yeah, and I mean, we did see it very, very early on in season 2 where, Kiergan does come out of the fold to see Grisha in cages, and
Hmm.
you know
Yep.
what I mean? Like, there was that early on, I felt like, reminder where I felt like that plot line was coming through. Like I said, it was literally just his last speech where I was like, "You're not making any sense to Alina. You're not
Yeah.
appealing to
Yeah, she doesn't
anything
get it.
for her logic." Like,
Mhm.
so I
Because
felt like that speech could have been written better to make more sense, to, like, get his point across, to make him a more
because
sympathetic character. Like, him being like, "Let me be the monster." Well, she's trying to rid the world of monsters, so, like, what would be the point of
then
keeping
she
you?
becomes the new monster, right?
Right, but she doesn't get that. So, like,
Yeah,
he's
the
not saying
absolute
anything that
power
makes sense
corrupts
to her.
absolutely. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not making sense to her, so I was just like, "Uh." I just feel like different words here would have made a lot better sense.
When she gets, so she's the sun summoner first of all, and then she gets the stag, and then she gets sea whip, and then she gets the firebird.
Yep.
So she
Yeah.
gets the three amplifiers. Now that Bagra's gone, she is the most powerful Grisha next to him. Like, he has no other peer. So that's why, whether it's effective or not, I can see why. That's why it's like, you are so powerful. It's just going to be you and me, right? Well,
Mhm.
we're now going to live, you know, for another 1,000 years. Nothing can touch us. Let me lead, and imprison you and force you to do things you don't want to do. But other than that, I'm a good guy.
Right.
Well, and that's sort of the touch that was lost in this season too. Like this, it like clearly, I'm guessing from the hurt of the betrayal, it was kind of like, okay, I've had it, and sort of went in with an iron fist to that point, because he was in season 1 much more, convincing through his cunning and his charm and sort of things, as opposed to like, I'm going to lay down the law here because I can. And I get that, losing patience or whatever, and you can, so therefore you do. But it would have been more convincing and allow us to be more sympathetic towards him, and maybe be a little more pulled. Maybe give us the idea that maybe we would want her to go back and work with him or something like that. Could have made it a little more complicated.
Yeah.
And I also think it's an issue with this being a young adult kind of story, is that like there needed to be someone that was like 60, like most of the people in charge were like 60 or something, that kind of said, listen, girl, like you don't know what you're talking about.
It
You know,
does
and
skew
like,
rather young in the cast.
yeah, well, it's just like everybody that's like the play, and because again, it reminds me of an anime where all the heroes are children, and they go and they save the world, and because no one else can do it that's been around a lot longer. And it's fine because it's a cartoon. When it's real, it's less convincing that all of the military, all the leaders, the kings and queens, everybody are pretty kids that don't know anything. And so it's again, that's why I say I can only deal with one young adult show at a time, because I have to have that suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Because, it just makes it hard to, accept
Fold
some of these things.
It was like Children of the Corn on all the adults.
The Fold?
Yeah, took out all the old people.
Yeah, I
You reach a
guess.
certain age.
That's what it is. Yep.
Well, we had our.
That's what's flying around in the Fold, are the old people.
I could actually go with that as a storyline. That would be funny.
I want it. Yep.
We had our like 3 adults this season that we saw so briefly. Well, one more than the others, but we saw the king and the queen. The king is like decrepit and infirm because he was poisoned. So like he's weak and ineffectual and glimpsed it at a dinner. The queen, who is like
racist,
so like ultimate socialite, racist, classist, like, she's like, "Ooh, let's throw a party." I did love the contrast between like her and Bagra, who's like, "Let's just like do some shit. Like, if you're gonna suffer, make it worth it. Like, pull yourself together and do something." She was like the one adult we had.
That's what
Gone too
Bagra
soon.
helped. Yeah, that's what she helped. She stole the show a lot of the times, I think. It's because you had this wizened person that came in there that did know things, said how it was going to be, took charge, didn't let anybody like push her around or take any shit. And you kind of bought it, whereas you don't necessarily from some of these other, H&M models. So.
Yeah, Bagra to me was the star of the season, and yeah, I'm gonna miss her, man. I'm gonna miss her, like, just, knife cuts of wit to Kirigan and to
her, like,
Alina, but mostly to her own son.
Yep. Okay, so we're running up against time here pretty soon. What other things do we need to address? Like, are there other things that have happened in the season, Pete, that really stood out that you disliked or really did like that we kind of haven't talked about from previous episodes?
We didn't talk about the fate of Jenya much.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah,
that was interesting. That was they had like a tight little development where like her favorite stone turns out to be a ruby. right?
Yeah.
And then the Nietzsche boy is
That was
chasing
nice.
her around.
Mhm.
Yeah, like her beauty was her armor, nice, and then Kerrigan took that away from her. Wait, did you guys talk about how Mal was abducted for treason, and then
And then
like
just came
showed up?
back.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, oof,
Yeah.
I'm back."
Was
He's
like,
like,
Yeah,
he
that
sorry,
was
I
reached
just
never
took like a
addressed.
long walk
he
and now
reached
I'm
into his
home.
pocket and he pulled out the death hoot owl, get out of
Yeah.
jail free death hoot owl.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
like, I'm back, and maybe it'll show up in season 3 as a flashback. But that could have been developed. That was off topic, off track. But I did like that she's now part of the ruling trio of they're going to be the triumvirate,
Mm.
Yeah.
checks and balances at the end. And then what happened to David? Is he dead? Is he not dead? Did he
No clue, man.
fall out of a helicopter and land in Avatar or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Go
liked
ahead.
her kind of maiming because I felt like it was an avenue for like exploring Kerrigan also getting like he's like gets, clawed in the face or whatever the heck these shadow monsters do to you. And I feel like he felt very vulnerable that his like good looks were taken away. And then we also sort of got to see that like ultimately through Jenya as
Mhm.
well. Like both
Mm.
of them were like good looking and use that to get what they want. And it was like it wasn't all of the Darkling's armor, but it was some of it. And so like both of them feeling like very vulnerable about like how unattractive they were after it was an interesting plot line.
Except it's definitely like Hollywood unattractive. It's like he's still look
Right,
good. Those
right. Like
scars are
I have
pretty,
this
like
artful scar.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
not anything real.
Evenly spaced, they didn't take out an eye,
Right.
it's like
Yeah,
yeah.
even Jenya's eye isn't like gone. It's just like
Yeah.
discolored,
Right.
so she hides
Yeah.
it. It's like you would be fine if you just
You
didn't
just
wear the
look
eye patch.
tough now. You're fine. Yeah.
She doesn't need the eye patch, but sure.
Mhm. I think it's interesting with this show that I have so many complaints. Like I go through it and I'm watching, I'm like, really this? And oh my God, this and that. Tired of this character, that wouldn't happen. Um, all the young kids making all the decisions, whatever it is.
John, did you like the show?
But that's the thing. But I do enjoy watching the show.
Yeah.
So I consider it like a guilty pleasure because there's so much wrong with it, but I really like it. It's again kind of like an anime. There's things that are unbelievable that wouldn't make sense in real life,
Mhm.
don't happen. I don't know that I'm convinced that we get here from point A to point B this way, but I'm really liking the ride still. There's
Yep.
still like emotional moments or like things that just work. Sometimes that when she stabs Mel and stuff and cries out, that's like
Yeah.
that's cool. When you're jumping around slashing shadow monsters, that's cool. There's just good fun moments. And the show is shot well enough that I can enjoy it. And it's just if I don't think about it too hard, it's just a lot of fun. So that's yeah, I don't know. It's kept me going with it.
Now, has the show been renewed or not?
No.
Will it
It
be?
ha- it's still being decided. So a lot of people expected Netflix had like an upfront yesterday. A lot of people expected an announcement about it then and it didn't come, but that doesn't
Mm.
necessarily mean that it's not coming because
It's expensive. It's got
it's
to
just
be expensive.
yeah. I mean, it's some of the effects they have put like good money towards. And you can
Mhm.
really tell. Like I'm not going to lie, the light show tearing down the fold, that was pretty cool. I liked it
Mhm.
a
The way the
lot.
cut looks,
Yeah,
when
the way the
that
cut
looks
looks,
great.
it
The
looks
shadow monsters
awesome.
were good.
Mhm.
So yeah, so they're still deciding, but there is an expected announcement within the next 2 months that, whether or not it will go. It's interesting that they haven't given it the go ahead, being that they're also developing right now, a spinoff for the Crows specifically
That's all you
to
need.
like
That's all I need. Just Give me the
I
Six
think
of
they're calling it
Crows.
like Six Crows something.
That's one of the books, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was
Six of
the that
Crows.
was
Six of
that was
Crows.
that was the joke at the end of the finale when
Yeah.
Jesper's trying to figure out. We'll call it the Five of, and then it cuts.
Yep.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah.
So they are developing that as well, even though that also hasn't technically been given the green light.
Mm.
So it's expected, but yeah, it's not official.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean,
They definitely
what
leave
I've
off on a place that's like, we should continue the show.
yeah, they for sure want to. They clearly have, plan, like the books are there and all that sort of thing. The desire to do it. Um, it's just a tough landscape right now. And, I've just noticed just coincidentally that normally for shows, when I look up this show, season whatever, episode whatever, I
Mhm.
can get a few images for it, because stuff's being circulated about it. I can get a couple of decent images. I had the hardest time finding good
Yeah.
quality images of this show. Season
Hmm.
2. Every time I looked it up, season 1 stuff came up. So to me, the hype was around season 1, and
Mhm.
it seems just from not even like reading reactions or anything like that, it seems hype for season 2 must be way down. That it's just
Yeah.
not populating in search results and just being written about and whatever,
Mhm.
um, just getting buried in the shuffle. And it's part of what we have with the, streaming everything. And there's so much content,
Mhm.
what's going to make things stand apart. Obviously, Amazon has the name recognition of Lord of the Rings, and HBO has the name recognition now of Game of Thrones,
Right.
for our fantasy sort of things. And I don't know. Maybe there's not an audience for a young adult fantasy sort of thing. And I already feel like there's too much of that too. We talked about Wheel of Time on here. And
Mhm.
Oh God, did I finish that? Is that any good? I know I
It
started it.
we have differing opinions, but I like it a lot.
Okay.
I think
yeah,
there's some very strong elements. There are some weaknesses for sure, and some of it is the like teenage whininess of some of the characters. Like
That's
they're
on
very much
Prime.
teenagers.
Wheel of Time is on Prime.
It is on Prime, yeah.
yeah. hmm
Okay.
I thought the effects weren't that good. I didn't like some of the character, and I haven't read the books, so I'm not coming off of that or whatever, I guess.
Mhm.
But some actors that I really like that
Yeah.
you know I should like a lot more in in that show. I don't.
There were
Yeah,
definitely some problems. Like I will not deny that. But I think there were some definite cool moments to build on, and they
that's
got
why like
better.
when I talk about young adult things like this to me wins. This is a better show. It looks better.
I
I think
I
it's
agree
better
with that.
executed, and I have way more fun with it than Wheel Time. So it's like this is the one I choose to
Mhm.
like, you know, go through.
I will
I
I
will
will
say
agree
this.
that I think at this point this is a better show than Wheel of Time. I just think Wheel of Time has potential to go somewhere.
I read. I should say. After watching Shadow and Bone, I still think I should read the books. I
Mhm.
might be biased because I never read Wheel of Time, and after watching a couple episodes, like I literally just said, "Did I even finish that series?" Again, the bias comes from everybody that I've talked to has read the Wheel of Time. Said,
Mhm.
"Don't start it. Don't, don't,
It's
don't."
it's really a hard.
Like the 3 4 books are fantastic, and then it's like, oh, garbage for
It
upon
it
garbage.
it is. It starts off so good, and there's like I would give it like at least 5 books that are just like you just fly through because it's so awesome. And then there's this like middle drag that happens in like 7, 8, and 9, and you're just like, eh. But then I picked up like the last like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh man, they're like picking up again, getting good. So it's really
To
hard. It's a hard series to recommend because like how do you tell somebody how to push through that middle like blah, that lull?
it's like someone saying, "Oh my god, this anime is so good. You just have to get to season 3." So get through
It is.
3 seasons of 26 episodes apiece, and you're gonna love it. Or I
It's really
remember a friend
hard.
specifically recommended Smallville, and it's like, it's by season 5, it's so good. It's like, I'm not sitting through 4 other
That's tough.
seasons
I
to
feel
get
I
to the
feel like
good stuff. Are you kidding me?
I feel more like Wheel of Time is like Sword Art Online. Like it starts off
Mm,
so hot with season 1 and you're like,
Hmm.
"Damn." And then
mhm,
season 2 you're like, "Excuse me."
mhm.
So
So
I
you
feel more
so
like
good,
it's
you just
that.
wanna push through to get to the other
Yes.
side. I get
Yes.
that's too much commitment.
I
For
mean,
me, that's too much commitment.
I totally get it. That's why I said, like, it's so hard to recommend this series because it starts off so hot and then it feels like it just, like, betrays you in the middle.
Is it a young adult series? I didn't think it was.
Mhm.
Wheel of Time? It is? Okay. Alright.
I
I
mean,
didn't know that when
it's
initially.
not technically young adult, but it is about young adults.
It's
So,
so
Okay.
yes.
old that it was at the time it was just considered fantasy.
Exactly.
Sure.
There
Like
was
the
no
young
young adult
adult,
category.
Right.
right?
Okay.
But
Not
it would be now considered that.
Okay, well, so with Shadow and Bone, season 2 wrapped up, we see where they're going, we see the next problem, we see issues that we're gonna have,
Alina going to
we
the
have
dark
Alina.
side.
Yeah, she's controlled light and dark now, all that sort of thing. She's as a room full of people just died, she smiles because she managed to do the cut.
feels
So
good.
yeah, yeah, we have
And let's be clear about it. She did the cut before in the fold,
yes,
but
Yes.
it
but
was
this
a
was like
light
clearly
cut, and this is a
yes,
shadow cut.
yes, right, yes. So I think we all would like to see a season 3, right? We'd like to
Mhm.
see a season
I
3,
would.
see it
I'd watch
continue.
it,
Yeah.
I mean,
especially if it
we've
was
So
the crows.
yeah. I mean, we know where her storyline is going. Obviously, Mal is going to be off privateering, which reinventing him as Sturmhond was both great and also gave me like a Dread Pirate Roberts
Oh,
vibe.
yeah, for
Hard,
sure.
hard.
Yeah.
But I'm accepting it. Um, but obviously he's gonna be called back to be like, Alina's gone to the dark side. Help us, like bring her
yeah,
back,
yeah,
man.
yep.
So I
All
mean,
right.
we know where the
So
storyline could go. It's just like, will it be good?
yeah. All right. So we're running out of time. Final thoughts
Okay.
from each of you on like just thumbs up, thumbs down for the season. Better or worse than last season? Anything else you kind of want to say in summation? So, Andrea, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I would give the season a thumbs up overall. I really liked parts of it. I liked our new characters. I liked the addition of Nikolai and his band of merry men. Um, I liked the missions we were going on. I liked the stakes. I wouldn't say it was better than season 1. I think season 1 was better. There was more to it. There was more
It was tighter.
in yeah, it was tighter. There was more interest in like building this world, introducing all of the characters, like, laying out our problems for our main characters. So I thought season 1 was better, but still a solid second season outing, and I would definitely watch a third.
Pete.
Everything she said. Absolutely. Thumbs up. Probably not as good as season 1, but this one definitely had some. Like again, it was the crows stole the season for me. Taking down the barrel was
Mhm.
magnificent, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
Mhm.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone, that's been Shadow and Bone. If you're a fan out there, let us know what you think. Have you read the books? Have you not? What do you think of the show? Are we crazy? What do we miss? All that sort of thing in the comment section on YouTube or Twitter or wherever you may find us. We're on a lot of the social things, Twitch. So subscribe, like, share, all that sort of thing. We're also on podcast directories, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that sort of thing. Spotify, you can get the video version of this as well. Um, Killing the Flower, they wrote our theme song. That's Killing the Flower. Go to YouTube or Instagram or any of the music streaming services like Apple and Spotify to check them out. And once again, Peter Gilbertson for his books on Amazon. Go ahead and check them out. Where the Weird Kids Go is the hot item right now.
We're featuring that one today, John.
Nice. So ready to go and take a look at that. Otherwise, anime show coming up on Monday. So take a look, keep an eye out for that on Twitch. And otherwise, until next time, thanks for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
Of
It's
course.
fun, as always.
Cheers, everybody.